Picture this. While you're scrolling through your phone at 2 a.m. worried about rent money, someone making minimum wage just bought their first piece of Bitcoin with pocket change from their couch cushions. I know because I used to be one of them. Now, what if I told you that person could potentially retire before someone earning six figures who's waiting for the perfect moment to invest? Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you the Bitcoin strategy that doesn't care about your income level and why starting small might actually be your biggest advantage. Now, let me start with a reality check, okay? That might sting a little, so bear with me. The number one reason people never build wealth with Bitcoin isn't market crashes, government regulations, or even bad timing, okay? It's the belief that you need thousands of dollars ultimately to make it worthwhile. This is the same exact mentality that keeps people broke in traditional investing. And it's completely backwards when it comes to cryptocurrency. Now, here's what's really happening while you're waiting to have more money. Okay. Every day you delay, you're essentially betting that Bitcoin will be cheaper tomorrow than it is today. But here's the psychological trap most people fall into. They think they need to buy whole coins. This is like refusing to buy a house just because you can't afford to buy the entire neighborhood. Bitcoin is divisible down to 8 decimal places, okay? Which means you can own meaningful amounts with whatever money you actually have right now, whatever you have in your bank account, or maybe cash on hand. Now, the strategy I'm about to share has three core components that work regardless of whether you're investing $10 or $10,000. The first component is dollar cost averaging, but not the way most people think about it. Now, traditional dollar cost averaging suggests investing the same amount every week or month. That works great if you have a steady paycheck. But what if your income fluctuates? What if some weeks you can invest $50 and other weeks you can barely spare even $5, right? So here's where the small income advantage kicks in. Now, instead of trying to time the market or save up large amounts, you become a Bitcoin accumulation machine. Every spare dollar becomes a Bitcoin purchase. Found $20 in an old jacket, gets in Bitcoin. Got a cash tip at work, gets in Bitcoin. Sold something on Facebook Marketplace, which I highly recommend, gets in Bitcoin. You know, there is that thing to do. This approach actually gives you more buying opportunities than someone waiting to invest large chunks because you're constantly finding small amounts to deploy. Okay. Now, the second component is understanding Bitcoin's unique mathematical properties. Okay, let's get into this. Unlike stocks that can go to zero, right? Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 21 million coins. This isn't marketing hype, it's programmed into the code. Every 4 years, the rate at which new Bitcoin enters circulation gets cut in half. This means that even small, consistent purchases are competing for a slice of an increasingly scarce asset. Now, think about it this way, okay? Bear with me. If you bought $10 worth of Bitcoin every week for the past 5 years, you'd own more Bitcoin today than 90% of people who are still planning their big investment move. The key insight here is that time in the market beats timing the market, okay? Especially with an asset that becomes a scarcer asset over time, okay? Now, here's where most Bitcoin strategies fall apart for people with limited income. They focus too much on price predictions and not enough on habit formation. The third component of this strategy is building what I call Bitcoin momentum. Start with an amount so small it feels, I mean, ultimately ridiculous. All right. Say like $5 a week, $10 a week. The goal isn't to get rich from that first purchase, okay? It's to prove to yourself that you can consistently execute a plan. So, what happens next is fascinating. So, once you start seeing those small amounts add up in your Bitcoin wallet, something shifts in your mindset. You start looking for more ways to optimize your spending. You might skip one coffee shop visit per week or find a cheaper phone plan, right? Not because you're sacrificing your lifestyle, but because you become emotionally invested in your Bitcoin accumulation goal. This psychological shift is where the real wealth building happens, okay? And I want to stress that enough. Now, small income earners often develop better money habits than high earners because every dollar matters more. When you're investing with limited funds, you naturally become more conscious about unnecessary expenses. You start seeing purchases as trade offs. Is this an impulse buy worth it to me ultimately? Or Bitcoin, I can buy it instead, right? But here's a critical mistake that can derail everything, okay? So it's important to pay attention. Trying to get clever with trading, okay? The moment you start thinking you can time Bitcoin's short term price movements, you've switched from investing to gambling. Now, the small income strategy only works with discipline and patience. Your edge isn't about predicting price movements, okay? It's inconsistent accumulation while others are paralyzed by analysis. Let's talk numbers for a moment without making any price predictions, okay? If you had invested just $20 per week in Bitcoin starting 3 years ago, regardless of the price, you'd have accumulated a significant position through multiple market cycles. Now, some weeks you'd have bought near peaks, okay? Other weeks near valleys, but your average purchases price would reflect the long-term trend rather than any single moment's volatility. Now, the beauty of this approach is that it removes the emotional decision making that destroys most investment plans, okay? You're not checking charts every day trying to time your next purchase. You're not waiting for crashes that might never come. You're systematically building a position in what many consider the most important financial innovation since the internet. There's one final piece that separates successful small income Bitcoin investors from those who give up. Now, pay attention, okay? Understanding that this is a long term game. Bitcoin's price might double or cut in half next year, right? But those fluctuations become noise when you're accumulating consistently over years, not months. Now, the person making minimum wage who starts buying Bitcoin today with their spare change has a mathematical advantage over the high earner who keeps waiting for the perfect entry point that might not ever come. They're building a habit, accumulating during various price levels, and most importantly, they're in the game instead of watching from the sidelines. Now, your income level doesn't determine your Bitcoin success. I want to stress that enough in this video. Okay, I can't stress that enough in this video. Your consistency does. Okay, the strategy works because it focuses on what you can control. Regular purchases with money you won't miss, rather than trying to predict what you can't control. Bitcoin's short-term price movements. Now, start this week with whatever amount that won't really stress you out, that's within your budget. Now make it automatic, okay? Make it consistent. That's the goal. Your future self will thank you from today, okay, rather than waiting for tomorrow's perfect conditions that never will possibly arrive. Ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far to the end of the video, I appreciate you. Consider hitting that subscribe button so we can reach more people that this would benefit. And I want to continue growing here. And I actually noticed that a lot of you that are returning viewers don't actually hit the subscribe button. It's completely free to hit the subscribe button and to like the video. I would really appreciate it as it helps to ultimately branch out to more people and reach more people that would see value in this content. So my name is Mr. Bitcoin Maxi. We're all Bitcoin Maxis. Have a good day.